Thank you. Members, please welcome the Mayor's Chaplain, Sue Fair, who will be saying prayers this afternoon.
Thank you, Judy. Let's pray. Lord God, thank you for the time we've had this month to pause, to remember and to reflect. As we entrusted loved ones to your care and remembered those who gave their lives to protect the freedoms we all enjoy today. And so as the autumn leaves fall and the days grow shorter, we experience change, recognising that in this life, change is constant. And yet, the Lord's steadfast love and faithfulness never changes. Even so, God is always doing new things and making all things new. So as this meeting gathers, Mayor Judy, council leaders and all the councillors and council staff gather for this extraordinary meeting, I pray God will grant you all that you need. I pray God will give you the clarity of vision and purpose to make the right choices for this time. May you be bold and courageous in declaring your collective voice for the future of the peoples and communities you serve in Peterborough. And I thank you for your service. It's a joy and a privilege, but it's not always easy serving the public and serving people. So I just want to pray a blessing on you. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord turn his face towards you and give you peace. May you have peace in all your decision making. Amen.
Thank you. Please be seated. Oh, yes, thank you. God, this thanks, that's so heavy. I would like to welcome... Oh, it's gone. Sorry. Sorry, thanks, Peter. I would like to welcome members, those in the public gallery and those watching on live stream to this meeting today. Members are reminded that the business to be conducted at an extraordinary meeting is restricted to the items of business contained in the request for the extraordinary meeting. Unless Standing Order 14.2 is suspended, should this meeting reach the 2-hour limit, not including any periods of adjournment, placed on all extraordinary council meetings, I will interrupt the meeting and call for the vote on the item under discussion immediately. Any member speaking must cease doing so. The vote will be taken without further discussion. I will now hand over to Rachel, Head of Constitutional Services, to go through some housekeeping points.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you, can all those present please ensure that all mobile phones are set to silent. In the event of an evacuation, please exit through the doors at both ends of the chamber, following the council staff to the assembly point. As per normal rules, if you wish to speak, please ensure that you raise your hand and you'll be invited to address the meeting. The Mayor has confirmed that she is happy for members to stand or remain seated, whichever is most comfortable when addressing the chamber. We will be using the voting cards this afternoon unless we have a request for a proposed recorded vote. There is a points document on the members' table. If you wish to raise a point, please raise the pink document and address the Mayor accordingly, stating which point you are raising. Finally, I would like to remind members that this meeting is being live streamed, so please make sure that when you speak, you are using your microphone. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Agenda item 1, apologies for absence. I will now ask the monitoring officer to give any apologies for absence that have already been received.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We've received apologies for absence from councillors Imitaz Ali, Blakemore Creedon, Harper, Jenkins, Knight, Ray and Thorburn. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I now ask if any members present are aware of any other apologies for absence not read out by the monitoring officer? Councillor Kay.
Councillor B is running late.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, ditto. Councillor Ayres is on the way, but I think traffic might be bad, so she'll be here.
Thank you. Any more? No. No. Oh, somebody's just coming in. Thank you. Can I now ask if any members present are aware of... Oh, sorry, I've just asked that. I do apologise. Thank you. Given the context of this afternoon's meeting, members are permitted to participate in the indicative vote in the event they arrive after the item is introduced, provided they are present when the recommendations are put to the vote. Agenda item 2, declarations of interest. Are there any declarations of interest for members this afternoon which are not already recorded separately on their individual register of interests?
I note that Councillor Ayres isn't present at the moment. However, prior to this meeting, she did make a declaration of interest to me. I've noted that. I'm sure she will make that declaration when she arrives, which I'm happy for her to do. However, I've looked at her declaration and I'm content for her to participate in both the debate and the indicative vote.
Thank you. Agenda item 3, reports to Council. Item 3, local government reorganisation, LGR, in Cambridgeshire and Peterborough. Members, before we begin this item, I would like to propose to only suspend Council Standing Order 21.4 to allow members sufficient time to debate this item. I am proposing that all members can speak for up to 5 minutes rather than the normal 3 minutes. I am also proposing that all group leaders will have the opportunity to sum up for up to 5 minutes, and the leader of the council will have the opportunity to sum up for up to 10 minutes. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Cole. Are all members in agreement of this proposal, or do we need to go to a vote? Agreed. Thank you. Thank you, members. I am now going to hand over to the monitoring officer who wishes to make a statement.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Before we begin this evening's debate, I wish to make a short statement in my capacity as monitoring officer. The matter before Council this evening concerns local government reorganisation. Members are being asked to debate the options and to indicate their views on a preferred option. This discussion and the indicative vote are designed to inform the work of the executive, which will be responsible for taking the formal decision at a later stage. It is therefore important that all members have the opportunity to participate fully in the debate this evening and express their views openly, so that Cabinet can consider the widest range of opinions before reaching its decision. For Cabinet members in particular, I want to offer a reassurance on an important point of law. Under Section 25 of the Localism Act 2011, a councillor is not to be taken to have had, or to have appeared to have had, a closed mind simply because they have previously expressed an opinion on a matter which is later to be decided. Accordingly, Cabinet members may lawfully take part in this debate and any indicative vote without fear of predetermination, provided that when the formal Cabinet decision is made, they approach that decision with an open mind, considering all relevant evidence and advice at that time. This statement is intended to protect both members and the Council by ensuring that the process is transparent, fair and legally robust. The debate and indicative vote tonight are a legitimate and important part of developing the Council's position ahead of the formal Cabinet decision. So, in summary, please take part fully in the debate. It's important that the Executive hears all members' views, and Cabinet members can do so confidently, knowing that doing so tonight does not amount to predetermination, provided they keep an open mind when the formal decision is taken. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Cairn, would you like to move the recommendations? You have up to 5 minutes to do so.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Not Mayoress, Mayor. I made that mistake last time. Here we go. So good evening. We're meeting today to consider one of the most significant matters facing our region's future governance, the local government reorganisation, LGR, in Cambridgeshire and Peterborough. Over recent months, 5 local government reorganisation LGR options have been developed and thoroughly evaluated against the MHCLG criteria, local priorities and independent expert analysis. Every one of these 5 proposed options presents distinct opportunities and challenges, particularly in relation to financial resilience, service quality, and the preservation of local identity. Following the Scrutiny Committee meeting held on the 28th of October, where all 5 options were rigorously discussed and debated, the committee resolved unanimously to recommend that the full council focuses on discussing options A and D, which are before you today. Therefore, this evening's agenda centres on the following 2 business case options. Option A, which is the North-South business case, which presents a 2 unitary authority proposal, and option D, Greater Peterborough business case, which presents a 3 unitary authority proposal. I now invite members to engage constructively with the evidence presented to weigh the strengths and challenges of each model, to reflect on the implications for our residents and services, and to agree a preferred option for recommendation to Cabinet. This decision will shape the future governance of our region and must be made with clarity, confidence, and collective purpose. Let us now proceed to discuss the 2 shortlisted business case options. Thank you.
Thank you. I understand Councillor Mohammed Farouk that you wish to second this recommendation. Would you like to speak now or reserve your right to speak?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and happy to second it and reserve my right to speak for now.
Thank you. Thank you. Does any member wish to begin debate? Councillor Warmston?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Today's topic has been labelled the biggest shake-up for local government, to local government in decades. And although we are ultimately not the decision makers, it is only right and proper that we robustly debate and discuss the 2 options in front of us, not for ourselves, but for our residents and indeed the officers and workers of this council and our neighbouring councils, who could all be potentially impacted by the decision whenever it is made. To be frank, the 2 options in front of us today are ones of noticeable trade-offs. Option A illustrates the benefits of economies of scale with considerably stronger financial position when compared to option D, and indeed, to my mind, a less fragile fiscal outlet than how we sit here today by ourselves. With this said, option A causes understandable concern about the dilution of local democracy and representation. As someone who lives in the ward they represent, I care deeply about local representation. However, personally, and I apologise in advance, I am not overly concerned about the reduction of councillors at this level. I would hope that the initial greater competition for places will result in the best people for the role being selected and an overall enhancement of the position that we are all fortunate to hold today. I feel the valid concerns about local representation could be mitigated by potentially looking at the level below us, such as parish councils. Parish councillors are people who live in their communities and in many
Take Antunes.
I think I'm back. Thank you ever so much, Deputy Mayor. They are true community champions, and I would like to see the consideration of greater powers being provided to parish councils, and indeed the creation of new parish councils for areas where ones don't exist. With all this said, and after great consideration and in all good conscience, I will be voting for option A, I believe, although I'll listen to the rest of the debate. My preference, and I do this not just so on the clear financial strength, although it's a huge factor, but because I know the passion and willingness in this room across all councillors to find solutions and mitigations for the valid concerns about the potential dilution of local representation. And I feel that we could be much more successful in that pursuit rather than trying to continue our financial fight, which isn't one we have been all too successful with to date. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Hemraj.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Option D offers a strong emphasis on local identity and place-based leadership. It empowers a potential new authority to reflect the unique characteristics and priorities of our communities, keeping the name Peterborough as Greater Peterborough, which matters deeply to our residents. The approach enables more tailored service delivery and clearer lines of accountability. Peterborough's corporate statutory of 25-28, creating a city of opportunity, sets out a bold and focused plan to shape our city into a thriving, inclusive and resilient place. That vision is rooted in local leadership and local knowledge, something Option D protects and strengthens. Residents constantly tell me they want councillors with deep understanding and accountability for the areas that we were elected to represent. They want decisions made by people who know their communities, not by a distant larger authority. We've already seen the positive impact of this approach. The work led by my colleague, Cabinet Member Katie Cole, and the Director of Children's Services and his team has begun to reshape children's services in Peterborough. We are making real improvement to the lives of children in care and laying the groundwork for Peterborough to become a truly child-friendly city. Option D builds on that momentum. It allows us to be more preventative with stronger early help interventions aligned with national policy and tailored to local needs. It also gives us a chance to reshape SEND services in a way that is more responsive, community-focused and supportive of our children and young people. This is an opportunity we cannot afford to lose. A larger authority like Option A risks undoing the progress we made. It risks diluting the identity of Peterborough, the city I was born in, work in and raise my family in. I speak with many residents who share these concerns. They worry that under Option A, Peterborough's voice will be lost. I'm a proud Peterboroughian. I believe in this city and its future. I want to see Peterborough flourish, to become a city with a strong economy, moving away from being a minimum wage city and becoming a real living wage city. A city that offers opportunities not just for the residents of Peterborough, for those in the bordering areas of the Fens and Huntingdonshire. Putting Option D forward as a preferred option to government will unlock prosperity for our city and the wider region while preserving the localism that defines us. That's why, as a councillor, I will be voting for Option D.
Thank you. Councillor Strandwood.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Option D offers the most locally responsive and future-ready solution for Cambridgeshire and Peterborough. By creating 3 unitary councils, Greater Peterborough, Mid Cambridgeshire and Greater Cambridge, this model aligns governance with distinct economic geographics and community identities. It empowers each authority to tailor services to local need, driving innovation and accountability. Greater Peterborough can harness its urban energy and regeneration potential. Mid Cambridgeshire can champion rural development and agritech. And Greater Cambridge consolidate its global leadership in science and technology. This approach meets the government's criteria by ensuring sustainable public services, balanced population sizes and a stronger demographic representation. While transition costs are higher than the 2 unitary authority options, the benefit of clearer accountability, targeted investment and enhanced engagement outweighs these challenges. Option D strengthens strategic alignment with the combined authority, supports devolution and fosters genuine neighbourhood empowerment. In short, it's not just a structural reform, it's a bold, pragmatic vision for inclusive growth, resilient services and empowered communities across our region. Therefore, I shall be supporting option D. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Wiggins.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We were presented at the start with 5 options for local government reorganisation in Peterborough and Cambridgeshire, and as I've said before, I don't like any of them. For me, this is a once-in-a-generation opportunity to get local government right. I agree with the principle of abolishing 2-tier councils and making everywhere into unitaries. That's absolutely fine. But as someone who has spent most of my life in Peterborough, I think we're missing an opportunity to look wider and not just in the constraints we've been given. Our travel to work area covers South Lincolnshire, Rutland and East Northamptonshire, as well as Huntingdon and Fenland. We don't just look south and east, we look north and west as well. And the government isn't letting us do that in this process, and I think that's a great shame. I think option D does give us the chance to focus on Peterborough better than option A, but again, it's missing opportunities. Doesn't include, for instance, Whittlesea, which is right on our doorstep. It also splits up other areas which I think are a bit strange, such as splitting up Huntingdon and Godmanchester. That would be the same as splitting North and South Peterborough into different councils. We wouldn't be in favour of that. However, it does give us that greater sense of community in Peterborough. And actually, I completely agree with what Councillor Ormston said about parish councils. You'll know I've spoken on this issue before about how I believe, as he does, that parish councils can really strengthen our local communities. We should be devolving more power and looking into areas which don't have parishes to get better outcomes. I know some work has gone on to this before, and it's now on the agenda of the work plan for the Constitution and Ethics Committee to look at a community governance review, and I welcome that. There is one thing that isn't as good with option D, and that's the finances. And I'm concerned that given the work we've all done as a council to bring this council back from the brink, with our focus on financial sustainability, we need to make sure we don't let ourselves drift into problems again. The one key stat that stood out for me was the 50-year payback period on option D. Now, we've talked through this as a Liberal Democrat group and wider, and we're hopeful that once an option is looked in more deeply, we've focused on one, that actually there are ways that we can reduce that 50 years. We can work with whatever the new councils are, reduce some of their costs. We've got a history of shared services. I know we've gone back towards reducing those, but you know what we can do is look at every option. We can start again. We can do whatever we want to build a new system that works for us. It could be one of the things we discussed was where you've got the 2 councils where we're in adults and children's, for instance, where there's 2 set up, whether the 3rd council created, you know, could piggyback on some of those services. That's a potential option. It could all be considered once we know what we're working with. That being said, for our group, the main issue is keeping the focus on Peterborough. And for that reason, we will be supporting option D.
Thank you. Councillor Mahmood.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you. This evening, members, we have a decision to make with regards to local government across Peterborough and Cambridgeshire. I speak in support of option D, the creation of 3 unitary authorities. This proposal is not about redrawing boundaries for their own sake. It's about recognising the distinct identities of our communities and creating councils that reflect them. Peterborough is a growing and diverse and ambitious city. Fenland and East Cambridgeshire have strong rural traditions, and Greater Cambridge is a national centre for innovation. Option D allows each to focus on its own priorities while collaborating where it makes sense to do so. Residents have told us what they want: simpler, more accountable local government that listens and responds. Over 2,400 residents and hundreds of staff took part in the engagement process, and that message was clear. They want councils that feel closer to them, and Option D delivers closeness through pace-based leadership and clear lines of accountability. Yes, this model carries higher transition costs and a longer payback period than the two unitary alternative, but this is an investment in trust and responsiveness, not simply a financial equation. With strong governance and shared service arrangements, the challenges can be managed and long-term benefits to democracy, engagement and local service design are significant. Option D also aligns with our corporate strategy for 2025-2028, creating a city of opportunity. It supports inclusive growth, resilience, and building better outcomes for children and young people. It gives Greater Peterborough the power to focus on its own priorities, driving investment, tackling deprivation, and supporting families, while working in equal partnership across the region. Colleagues, Option D is a people's option. It celebrates local identity, strengthens representation, and gives residents that their council understands them. Let's take this opportunity to not just reorganise, but to re-energise local government, to build councils that are closer, fairer, and more accountable to the communities that they serve. I urge members to support Option D. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Day.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I too echo some of my colleagues' sentiments that I wish that that we were looking at becoming unitaries before we were going into these large super mergers of councillors. I also agree with the fact that towns like Whittlesea, Townsend the Fens should be included in these options. And I would have looked at the boundaries quite differently. But we know we're here to make a decision between these two options. With option A, we have the north-south divide, and we know that Peterborough and Fenland are the most deprived authorities. 36% of Peterborough is in the lower super output areas and are in the most deprived quintile. We know with the north-south models that it will split the areas where the northern area will have higher deprivation than the southern area overall. I'm concerned of the impact on children's services and adult social care costs for the unitary authorities, if that's the case. In terms of our health and well-being, we know that Peterborough men live in the most deprived areas. They have a life expectancy on average of 8 years shorter than those in the most affluent areas. And what I'm really interested, I know there's always opportunities for economic growth, but economic growth doesn't always filter down to prosperity to those in the most deprived areas. I think Peterborough with option D has a good chance with our university at the centre, with our central business district growing, to become a new economic hub of option D, and therefore we are looking at voting for option D, although we're open-minded to debate. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Elsey.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I wasn't going to speak, but I agree with a lot of what Councillor Ormston said in terms of the local representation, the fiscal certainty of option A, the devolution of responsibility to parish councils. I also agree with some of what Councillor Wiggins said in that it's really disappointing that when we have this opportunity to restructure the map in terms of the most appropriate partners for us, we've only looked inside Cambridgeshire, when in reality for Peterborough, an alliance with North Northants and other neighbouring authorities would have been far more beneficial, in my opinion. What people, and when you look at the 50-year payback on option D, it doesn't serve us well at all. the reality is that it's an option which was brought by the 2 Labour MPs, and we're now hearing perfectly scripted speeches in favour of it, which to the outside world look a little disingenuous. And the reality is that people seem to forget that Peterborough, as a unitary authority, is made up by at least 1/3 rural wards already. And they don't resonate with the Peterborough effect. They resonate with northwest Cambridgeshire, and they resonate with Stamford, and they resonate with Deeping, and they resonate with Oundle and places like that. So we're already representing a great swathe of people who frankly couldn't care less about the Peterborough effect and whether Peterborough is at the forefront. What they care about is whether or not A, the council is financially viable, B, are they getting best value for money, and C, are they getting the greatest level of service. And I can't see how you think you can do that when you've got an option that's going to take you 50 years to pay back just the reorganisation of it, let alone the delivery of services for it. So on that basis, I'm afraid I'm voting for option A. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor B.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you. I'm going to try keeping it short. Option D, the 3 unitary model, offers a clear advantage for both council taxpayers and children's services. From a financial perspective, harmonising council tax across Greater Peterborough, Mid Cambridgeshire and Greater Cambridge will create
Is it possible you could speak up just a little bit? Put the microphone slightly nearer to. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Shall I start again? Okay, thanks. Option D, the 3 unitary model, offers a clear advantage for both council tax payers and children's services. From a financial perspective, harmonising council tax across Greater Peterborough, Mid Cambridgeshire and Greater Cambridge will create fairness and transparency, ensuring residents pay the same for the same services. For example, households in Huntingdonshire would see a reduction of up to 4.8%, while others experience only modest increases, avoiding long-term inequalities and simplifying the system. This model also unlocks opportunities to redesign services for children and families. Smaller, locally focused authorities can deliver more targeted interventions, strengthen early help and improve SEND provisions, which is vital given rising demand in historic underinvestment in areas like Peterborough. By aligning services with local needs, option D supports innovation, prevention and better outcomes for vulnerable children while maintaining accountability and community identity. Voting for option D means choosing a future-ready structure that balances fairness in taxation with a commitment to improving life chances for children and young people across the region. Therefore, I will be voting for option D. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Allen.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. We've been round this course so many times with the various pre-meetings and discussions, and you know, this sort of mega decision we're making is fair and reasonable, but I think that what we've done is not achieved the right outcome. From the conversations I've heard this evening, I would say that D has some appeal based on the desire to see a compact authority. Fair and reasonable, you know, we don't have such a wide area to be covered. But I've been more persuaded if the former Huntingdon and Peterborough County Council boundaries were to be resurrected, rather than this contrived chunk of Huntingdon that only suits political expediency. What we have here is a contrived unity, could be said gerrymandering of a desired political outcome, that fails to recognise the criteria of not splitting the existing authority boundaries and clearly ignoring the 500,000 population requirement. On the basis of finance and timescales, simply D does not stack. It does not stack. How we've come to this point of having most of the room wanting it defies belief. Option A, if pressed, would be my desired outcome. It ticks a lot of boxes. However, as it stands, I am more inclined to stand back and let the government do its worst. That is the reality of the direction of travel. The LAs will only make these decisions in the hope that they will be considered by government. In reality, we're bobbing along on the stream. Thank you, Mrs. Mayor, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Antonis.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Firstly, I had the opportunity of contributing at the Combined Overview and Scrutiny Committee, and that was very valuable. Tonight, we are making a fundamental decision, and the 3 points that were clear that we're basing that decision on is clarity, confidence, and collectively. When we look at clarity, officers and consultants have produced an enormous amount of data which supports option A. And when we look at that criteria that the government have set, forming coherent economic areas and supported housing, ensuring financial resilience and efficiency, and delivering sustainable high-quality services. And I would echo my colleague Councillor Elsie's view that the larger area, economic area, is essential for that. When we look beyond that, in terms of confidence, those elements are both for members and residents. And at this moment in time, the significant engagement has been lacking in terms of resident contribution to this process. However, change is always feared, and change also offers opportunity. I feel some of the debate in retaining our identity perhaps compromises that dialogue and opportunity that may be given by the larger demographic. When we're actually looking at the collective decision here tonight, I think only option A offers to meet all of the criteria and actually states that under section 2.11, while every other option is compromised. Therefore, my view is we should select or vote for option A. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Do we have any more speakers?
Oh, yes, Seresti.
Oh. Councillor Seresti.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I fail to understand how it is that we've got most of the councillors in this room looking to go for an option that's going to take 55 years to pay for itself, and is going to lose us £5 million, £5.5 million in revenue on an annual basis, and to turn around and say it's sensible. You know, we're arguing about lollipop ladies not so long ago, and now we've got the same people telling us that option D is a sensible option, and because it's going to take 55 years to pay for itself, and because we're going to get a £5.5 million a year income less than we would if we took option A. I really find it unbelievable. I hope the public that are listening to us this evening are listening to what I've got to say. I know they very often don't, but it would be a nice thing if they, you know, we are about to, if everything goes as appears, we are about to vote as a council in favour of an option which is going to take us 55 years to break even, and it's going to cost us £5.5 million. And to put that into perspective, £5.5 million is at least 5.5% increase in our rates every single year to recover that money, and it's probably a bit more than 5.5% in actual fact. Now, you know, please, I ask everybody, be sensible. This is our city we're talking about, the people around our city that we're talking about, and we have a responsibility to them. We're not here to gerrymander to organise the right organisation that will produce the right political answers. We're here to provide the organisation that's going to be the right answer for the people that we have responsibility for. Please think again, be sensible. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Tai?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. When looking at the options, as we all have done, I was first drawn to the financial implications of each. These are stark, and if you want to understand that more fully, just reflect on the words that Councillor Seresti has said. They're stark and they're easy to grasp. We all want a council that is financially sound, but I suggest we want something more than that. Financial security has to be for a purpose. It's not an end in itself. So what is the purpose? That's clearly set out in our strategic priorities. We have these over time, and they will change over time. But I believe they will always be centred on improving the lives of people and the places hereabout. So the question for me becomes not one of financial stability, that's a given, and to use a phrase I've just heard this evening, officers need to make it stack up. The challenge becomes one of supporting the social and environmental challenges that we face today and tomorrow. This is not easy to judge, but I am drawn to a range of issues centred upon the principles of localism. Councillors and senior staff being accessible to local people, and so gaining community commitment. This leadership team being linked to the places where people live, and these places having a common bond to others within the local authority. And finally, accountability for the decisions that are taken. People need to feel that the local authority is theirs and not a distant entity. It should not be something that is done unto them, but we need to be felt and feel accountable to them. For all of these decisions, I shall be recommending to Cabinet that they choose option D.
Thank you. Councillor Howard?
Thank you, and through you, Madam Mayor. I think it's a bittersweet meeting, quite honestly, isn't it? Talking about something that probably none of us, when we were first elected, thought we'd ever be involved in discussing. And I think that's true of officers too. So I think, we have to look at this very carefully and sensitively. Now, my heart likes option D. I like locality. It's what we were all voted in to do. However, we have to look at the government's reasoning for doing this. And I can tell you now, it's not being done for locality. It's being done for numbers. It's being done for financial sustainability. There is not a grain of emotion in number 11 that the locality argument is going to support. And not only that, we're saying option D gives locality. What about our poor friends in Huntingdonshire who we're cutting in half to do this proposal? They're not getting locality, they're being torn into two. So it's not locality for everyone in that option. It doesn't really stack up. And the finances, like 50 years, I probably won't be here in 50 years in all fairness, but 50 years is such a long period to claim that back. I don't think, it doesn't matter what we say tonight, it doesn't matter what the Cabinet say, when it goes to government, I'm telling you, that financial case, it just does not stack up. It will not go through. We can all do what we want and put forward what we want, but let's face it, government have done this for a reason. And it's not for fun and laughs, let me tell you. It's about numbers. They will look at the numbers of the authorities, and the clearest case for finances will be the one that wins the day, no matter what argument we make here or whatever recommendation the Cabinet put forwards. But in my mind, I can't believe we've gone through a public consultation, scrutiny, informal briefings, and this meeting, and all the time and resource that's gone into that from officers, doing all the paperwork, making the cases clear to us, for us all to blindly, or most of us, blindly go along with an option D, which clearly, just read page 12 of the papers, it just makes no sense at all. I'm disappointed it's going this way, but I'm not surprised because politics is politics, and everyone does what they think is best for politics. But let me tell you, the way the opinion polls are going, they're changing on a weekly basis. Not any of these options give anyone any political certainty at all. So for our local MPs thinking they're clever with option D, none of these options are clever for any form of politics. This is so far away. We know a lot can change in a week. An awful lot can change in a couple of years, let me tell you. So I think it's misguided at best. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Ayres?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. My apologies for being so late. I wanted to make a declaration, and I thought that the acting monitor officer had already made a comment about that. And I apologise for being late in doing this, because I did actually contact him yesterday to inform him that I do have a beneficial interest in, and I'm a director of a company in the Huntingdon District Council area, which may potentially be development land in any future local authority. He confirmed that there was no conflict in the circumstances preventing me from attending this meeting or voting on any indicative vote today if I wish to do so. He doesn't think this constitutes a disclosable pecuniary interest, but it would be best practice in his view to disclose this at the meeting, which I'm now doing. So thank you, please, for letting me do so.
Thank you. Are there any more speakers? No. Okay, we will now move on to the group leaders summing up, and I invite Councillor Heather Skipstead to begin. You have up to 5 minutes to sum up.
Gosh, I wasn't expecting to be the first one, but I am, so thank you. So the Green Group are in agreement on which model we will vote for, even though we do have a free vote in the group, as we see this as the most forward-thinking and locally responsive solution. It can tailor services to local needs. We have already given, many of us, opinions at our joint scrutiny regarding our preference and the reasons why, and these haven't changed from this debate. We see that there would be a loss of identity. Nothing I've ever seen where organisations are amalgamated and made larger has been better, more efficient. So option A means that we'd have 150 councillors. Where would we meet? How would we agree? In this two unitary authority model, local representation would be lost or at least certainly reduced. As mentioned by my colleague, the deprivation levels of Peterborough are high, and combining this with another area, Fenland, which also has high levels of deprivation, will put a strain on adult and children's services. Reports don't look at prosperity. Growth does not necessarily lead to prosperity for the most deprived areas. Local councils have been underfunded for many, many years, and it seems that this is now being rectified with the fairer funding that Peterborough will receive. This will, to some extent, close the funding gap and increase the financial resilience of Peterborough going forward. However, the government will ultimately make the final decision, but in summary, the Green Group will be voting for option D. Thank you.
Thank you. I will now invite Councillor Christian Hogg. You have up to 5 minutes to sum up.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think it's important that we're here today because although this is essentially a decision that needs to be taken by Cabinet, something of this gravitas, as a Cabinet, we really need to listen to all of the councillors across all of the parties. So it's been really instructive to hear what individual councillors have had to say tonight. Just talking now in terms of we wear various hats as we do our duties as councillor, and talking with my group leader hat on here, that the Liberal Democrat group, or the Liberal Democrats as a whole even, have we feel that decision making should be made at the most local level possible, and clearly option D does afford that ability more over option A. We would be diluting our locality over a much wider area for option A. And it also, I think we also have to realise that we've spent an awful lot of time over the last couple of years decoupling from Cambridgeshire. The officers have done an incredible amount of work bringing those services back in-house and have put them on the straight and narrow and are really going great guns. I know that both adults and children's services specifically, need to be mentioned. And I think that what option D does give is the fact that we will only be bolting on a much smaller amount to those services. So I think the hiccup, the impact of that change is going to be much easier to manage rather than a kind of a doubling of that service across a much wider area. And I think that could cause us problems, specifically those who are most disadvantaged in our city. So I think that, again, is something that we need to be thinking about. And I think the other thing is that, yes, of course, we are here thinking about what's best for Peterborough. But we also have to have a slight consideration to what our partners elsewhere in Cambridgeshire are looking for and what these two options give. The option D at the moment does give South Cambs and Cambridge what they're looking for, which is a unitary of their own. They don't want to have any other unitary added to them, and that's something that option A would force them to take on East Cambs. I also believe that Fenland, although they've kind of expressed the opinion that this is a waste of time and that it's all been stitched up already, given a choice, they would prefer option D. I think basically because they feel that they are a rural community and they see better synergies with that of East Cambs and the lower part of Huntingdon all being rural areas, and less so with Peterborough. So with that all in mind, we had a lot of discussion within the group. I'm not in a position to make a decision myself definitively because we've still got people to talk. It'll be interesting to hear what the leader of the Conservatives has to say, for instance. And when we get to Cabinet, there will be more discussion again. So it's this isn't a slam dunk decision. It's not definitely A, definitely D. I don't think there's anybody in the room that can definitely say that there aren't advantages in either case. It's just a question of what weight you want to put that on. And so therefore, it is a bit like a planning decision sometimes. It is on a knife edge. We do need to kind of look at both sides. And as the debate continues, I will have to make my decision when we come to Cabinet. And that's basically all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you. I will now invite Councillor Neil Boyce as Deputy Group Leader on behalf of Councillor Harper. You have up to 5 minutes to sum up.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you. I'll keep this quite short. Members, this is one of the most crucial decisions you and this council will make, and will be with us for the next generation. Peterborough First, as a group of intelligent, independent and like-minded councillors, each member of the group has the freedom to vote for the option they feel serves both the city and the authorities' best interests. I trust all councillors here will do the same. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. I will now invite Councillor Wayne Fitzgerald. You have up to 5 minutes to sum up.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Let me start by saying I don't know what shocked me most this week, seeing Councillor Hogg at a Remembrance Sunday service, first time ever, I think, or more or less, or Councillor Hogg in a tie, 3 times, three times in a tie, but just a little light-hearted banter, Christian. So look, where we are, we've wrestled this around for months and months and months, but this is a farce, this process. I'm going to quote the previous leader, Dennis Sorry, Dennis. When this was first announced, and we were looking at options, and the options on the table, option A is the obvious answer, because it's a sensible answer. It fitted government policy. But as Dennis said, Turkey's voting for Christmas, eh, Dennis? Do you remember that conversation? Turkey's voting for Christmas. Why is that? Because the Labour Party worked out, and indeed the Liberals to some extent, that if we did option A, that would be more Conservatives or more right-wing politicians in any new unitary. And the chance of the Labour Party and others of having a serious say in this council would be severely diminished in the future. Let's talk about Fenland. There's nothing to do with what's been mentioned. The councillors in Fenland want nothing to do with Peterborough. That's why they're voting the way they're voting. I don't know why, and we could be slighted by that, but they want nothing to do with Peterborough. As Lynn Ayres will attest, she's been around long enough, Huntingdon feel exactly the same way. They don't want anything to do with Peterborough. So Peterborough, being the largest urban conurbation and the largest unitary, or the only unitary in the council, we're a bit of an outlier. But as clear as night follows day, on paper, option A is the option to go for. Option D is a farce, and this is being done for political purposes. Now, you can all shake your head, right, and say no, 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 but we're not stupid, are we, Dennis? Right? Nobody is stupid, but he's honest enough to know what the real reason is for going for option D, which miraculously was put forward by 2 Labour MPs, which has got nothing to do with them. And they've chosen bits of Huntingdon that have a propensity to vote guess which way. Is that coincidence? Maybe not. So look, the light bulb came on the other week when we said, why are we getting all vexed about this? And I'm sorry, Mr. Monitoring Officer, the leader of the council has clearly stated in the press that her preference was, or the Labour group's preference, I don't want to personalise it, Shabina, that it's option D. And the officers are going, you know, they won't say anything because they're officers, but they know it's crazy. They've said it's crazy. Other than going, why are you doing this? But that's not their job. So the point is, we after much deliberation, thought, why are we getting vexed about this? So I'll tell you what we're going to do. Nothing. Nothing. Because we have no confidence in this decision-making process or its outcome. Because I do think it's a foregone conclusion, because we've already heard from the Labour Party about what their preferences are, and I know we've got to hear from the leader, and indeed the Liberal Democrats and the Greens. So keep your decision, on your heads be it. If we were forced to vote, we would be voting for option A. However, I don't think we will be voting, and it will be the decision of the Liberals, the Greens, and the Labour Party that take this council down the wrong road. However, caveating all that, we also don't think it makes any difference because government will do what they want. And if government is sensible, it will be option A or option B. Thank you very much, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Mohammed Farouk, would you like to exercise your right to speak as seconder? You too have up to 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I shan't say too much because I've taken very valuable input from all the members and from you, Councillor Fitzgerald. I have listened very carefully for arguments from members for option D, for option A. They've made some distinct conversation and advantages of each of those options. And we're going to monitor those very carefully, look at what is best for the City Council, and make a decision in the Cabinet. So I do not want to come across as predetermined or talk about one option being superior to another. However, a couple of things I want to clarify. When we keep talking about it's the local MP's idea, I want to take back this council to one of the scrutiny committees well before the MP spoke. And I think it was myself and one other councillor who said, we want A1 corridor. So we called it a different name, but some members in this council said we prefer that. And that was, so it's nothing to do with them. And talking about politically, there are two options here. One, you could choose an option which is best for the residents of Peterborough, or the other option is you can choose it politically, as some of my Conservative colleagues has emphasised.
Councillor Alsey, what point?
Councillor Farouk has just said that it's nothing to do with the two MPs. The two MPs came to a meeting of Peterborough First and sat there and tried to convince us to go for this option. So to sit there and say that it's nothing to do with them is utterly disingenuous.
No, sorry. What I meant by that was that it wasn't their idea at the outset. It was from this council members who spoke about that. But anyway, enough said. I will make my decision at the Cabinet. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Cahan, would you like to sum up? You have up to 10 minutes to do so.
Well, that's been really interesting, that's all I'll say. I'm going to allude to some of the points, and what I will say is that Councillor Allen's alluding to the fact that an element of councillors from the Labour group are verging onto gerrymandering is actually quite insulting, actually. Why would anyone here seek to gerrymander an idea when we are here at full council? This vehicle has been provided to us to make a decision that's going to affect everybody in this city. There are councillors here who represent socially, economically deprived wards and diverse wards. They have a right to say how they feel about what option they want to go for, irrespective of this being, as you say, a political decision. And I must say that when we look at Fenland District Council, they have opted to vote for option D because they're supporting us. It's not just political, but from their perspective as well, all leaders, when we have spoken about this, nobody really likes the element of LGR. None of us have really been able to come to a conclusion. But one thing I will say is that we've had some respectful discussions amongst ourselves at leader level. And you can see that only recently Huntingdon haven't been happy with any of the options and have put their own option on the table, Huntingdon. So we can all sit here all day and debate about which option suits us. And who can forget a couple of years ago when we had a certain MP who was going out making videos, all singing, all dancing about a north and a south Peterborough. I'm not going to say that that was gerrymandering, but yes, there were some interesting conversations around that as well. But look, we are where we are, and we've got two options that have been put forward to us democratically through joint scrutiny, of which we had no participation, okay? And you've got your option A, which are your two unitary authorities, split with your north and south. Option D, which are your three unitary authorities, Greater Peterborough, Mid Cambridgeshire and Greater Cambridgeshire. And let's say both options aim to simplify governance, improve efficiency, and strengthen accountability. There are both good business cases for both options, and both have their merits and both have their flaws. But most importantly, everybody here who has spoken in line with their views on the benefits for the people that we are elected to serve. And that is the bottom line in our decision making over here. So why are we changing? We know that local government is under unprecedented pressure. We get by with our budgets through the skin of our teeth every year, like we did last year as well. I've got my colleague, the Deputy Labour Group Leader, validating the same. There has been an exponential demand or a surge in demand for adult social care, for children's services, housing, combined with a projected multi-billion-pound funding gap nationally. So the current structure is quite simply struggling to cope. When we talk about what government wants, I'll give you the example of what happened in Surrey. We had 12 unitary authorities there. People had put in their own business cases, and in the end, government did come up with only two authorities. And that's what I'm going to say when Councillor Howard very sensibly actually mentioned the fact that government will make their own decision. But we democratically have a right here to debate which option we are in favour of, apart from the Cabinet, I choose to add, because we will be making that decision in the coming weeks. Now, This also seeks to align with devolution. It gives us a stronger voice in regional investment and decisions, irrespective of what option is chosen. But structural change, as Councillor Tai alluded to, must deliver real world benefits and not just tidying up administratively what we seek to do and how we seek to deliver services as well. Councillor Ormiston very eloquently said that option A offers significant savings and a relatively quick return on investment. That's attractive to look at, and large councils can achieve economies of scale, particularly in back office functions and procurement. So he was very right to highlight that. On the other hand, Councillor Hemraj spoke of the trade-offs in that in North Cambridgeshire would combine areas with high deprivation and rural isolation, whereas under option A, South Cambridgeshire would need to balance rapid growth and an ageing population. There's also been highlighted and alluded to a risk that larger units may feel remote from residents, which dilutes local identity and makes democratic engagement just that little bit harder. Now, many here have spoken about option D. Obviously, it has been stipulated that the payback is going to be over 50 years. But let's remember over here, and I've spoken in favour of option A, so I'm going to speak in favour of option D and let everybody decide. Numbers alone don't really tell the full story, okay? They don't mark out or predict what regional growth is going to be like, and actually, option D, offering public benefits that actually go beyond balance sheet. And both Councillor Hemraj and Councillor Strangward have alluded to that aspect too. So having a look at option D, I know that there have been plans around transport planning, housing delivery, digital inclusion, economic alignment with other authorities, better democratic representation, which is important to some members over here, and also devolution readiness as well. Now, many have spoken, I think the public, I've had a few questions, and I hope that those public members are watching today around council tax harmonisation. When we look at our residents, everybody is worried about the rise in council tax with reference to local government reform. And this is obviously figures that I've taken from the Cambridgeshire County Council because I'll be honest, I'm not a numbers person, so having a look at the really hard work that our officers have put into the business cases have been rather complex for me to extract that information. And maths isn't my forte. So I found that Cambridgeshire's business case was quite simplified. And if we look at option A, this could cost £216 per year in extra council tax for Peterborough per household, which means that Huntingdonshire residents pay a £93 more per annum. But for option D, Peterborough is looking to pay £31.52 per year. Huntingdon's actually does decrease by £85.56. I just want to put that out there for the public members who have asked these questions. I've seen quite a lot of questions around this, but that's just for me to put the figures out there from a comparative point of view for both option A and option D. Now, let's have a look at the summary, shall we? In summary, option A offers stronger financial returns and a shorter payback period, while option D prioritises local identity, democratic engagement, place-based leadership, and both options have their merits and they have their risks as well. But when we look beyond the immediate financial horizon, there's a slight vision for governance that members who have voted for option D, or actually may vote for option D, have spoken about, that it's closer to communities, better aligned with economic realities, and has the capability for unlocking long-term growth. It's not the simplest path, it's not the cheapest either, but it's the option that a lot of members have alluded to they would be voting for today, and I think we need to respect that too. Just to correct Councillor Fitzgerald's statement about me displaying that I would have a preference for option D in the media. I have a preference for it. I haven't stated that I would go for it in isolation. And I have been torn about it. If you were to ask me, I wish that local government reform would have come probably towards the latter part of the election cycle within this form of government. It's been a lot to have to contend with in the initial years, but it's something that's now been put on the table. It's unavoidable, and we have to lead this council with a sense of accountability and responsibility. And trust me, I am shouldering that responsibility as much as I can in a fair and transparent manner. I will leave it at that. We can proceed to the vote, but thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. The recommendations proposed are that Council, 1, considers and evaluates the shortlisted options for local government reorganisation as identified by Joint Scrutiny Committee, assessing their relative strengths, challenges and potential implications for residents, communities and service delivery, and 2, provides to Cabinet a recommendation indicating the Council's preferred option, together with a rationale for that view, to inform the Cabinet's decision on the Council's submission to Government, ensuring the region's submission is robust, evidence-based and aligned with both local priorities and national policy objectives. The shortlisted options identified by joint scrutiny are options A and D. In line with recommendation 2, members are asked to indicate their preferred option to inform Cabinet's decision on the Council's submission to Government. An indicative vote will now be conducted. Oh, sorry, Councillor Howard.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Please may I request a recorded vote for it?
I had finished anyway, so I need a proposer and a seconder, please. And now we need, if you stand, if you want a recorded vote.
It helps the officers count, so let's stand.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes. Okay. Thank you.
I don't mind it being.
Okay. Sorry about the indicative vote. Thank you.
Madam Mayor, can I just clarify something before we vote?
Sorry?
Can I just ask a question about the vote?
Right.
So are we voting, are we going to ask option A or D, or are we going to, how are we going to...
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Members, as a recorded vote has been agreed, I will call your names out in order. When called, could you please indicate whether you are option A, option D, or whether you abstain? Okay? Okay, so Councillor Ahmed.
Abstain.
Councillor Zamir Ali. D.
D.
Thank you. Councillor Allen.
Not voting.
Abstain?
No, not voting.
Councillor Antunes.
Option A.
Option D. Option A, can you just confirm that?
I confirm option A, yes.
Thank you, thanks. Councillor Ayres.
Not voting.
Councillor B.
Option D.
Councillor Bisbee.
Abstaining.
Councillor Andrew Bond.
D.
Councillor Sandra Bond.
D.
Councillor Boyce.
D, Rachel.
Councillor Sereste? Not voting. Councillor Cole?
Option D.
Councillor Day?
D.
Councillor Dowson? Councillor Ellis?
Option D.
Councillor Elsey?
Option A.
Councillor Farid?
Option D.
Councillor Mohammed Farouk?
D.
Councillor Saqib Farouk?
D.
Councillor Fitzgerald?
Not voting.
Councillor Judy Fox?
Option D.
Councillor John Fox?
Option D.
Councillor Geraghty?
D, please.
Councillor Hemraj?
Option D.
Councillor Peter Hiller?
Option D.
Councillor Sarah Hillier?
Option D.
Councillor Hogg?
Option D.
Councillor Howard?
Not voting.
Councillor Amjad Iqbal?
Option A.
Councillor Newman Iqbal?
Option D.
Councillor Jamil?
Option D.
Councillor Alison Jones?
Option D.
Councillor Dennis Jones?
D.
Councillor Khan?
Not voting.
Councillor Mahmood?
Option D.
Councillor McNally?
Option D.
Councillor Ormston?
Option A.
Councillor Kayoum?
My view, option D.
Councillor Rafiq?
Not voting.
Councillor Rangzeb?
Option D.
Councillor Rush?
Option D.
Councillor Sabia?
Option D.
Councillor Seeger?
Option D.
Councillor Anne Shahid?
D, please.
Councillor Asif Shahid?
Option D, please, Rachel.
Thank you. Councillor Skibstead?
Option D.
Councillor Strangward?
Option D.
Councillor Ty?
Option D.
Councillor Warren?
Not voting.
And Councillor Wiggin?
D, please.
We just need to check the results. Thank you. Okay, thank you, members. We just had to double check that. So I've got 4 members voting for option A. I've got 36 members voting for option D. I've got 2 abstentions and 8 members not voting. Therefore, option D is the preferred option for members. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, that is the end of today's meeting. For all those that will be attending the Mayor's Charity event this evening, I will see you all later. For all other members, have a safe journey home. Thank you.